Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nate and I wanted to do a quick little video wrapping up what I read in the month of June, some of my faves and some of my stats. So to kick off with my stats, in the month of June I read a total of, let me have a look at my book, I read a total of 17 different books. I had one DNF throughout the month. Out of those 17, 7 of them were from my physical TBR, and then I had 8 new books, and then I think I had 3 books that were from like audio. One of my rereads was from the audio. In terms of format for the books, I had 9 volumes of manga that I read, which I'm actually really happy with because that's like double what I managed to read in like the first 5 months of the year, so I'm really happy about that. I read 3 books completely physically, 3 books completely on audio, and then I had 2 books that were mixed. For my star ratings for the month, I had 4 3-star books, 1 3.5, 11 4 stars, and 1 5-star read, giving me an average of 3.79 throughout the month, which is something that I'm quite happy with. I would like my average rating each month to be higher than 3.5, since for me, I can read a book and quite enjoy it and give it 3.5. So I think if I'm averaging that, that's kind of where I would like to be. Obviously, I'd like to be higher if I could, but I think a higher than a 3.5 is my monthly goal. So I have 2 books that I'd like to highlight that were some of my favorites throughout the month. The first one we'll start with, which was an audiobook only, and that is Murder at the Vicarage by Agatha Christie, which is the first book in the Miss Marple series. I'm pretty sure her name is Miss Marple. I get her confused, I think, in my head with the marvelous Miss Maisel. I think that's Maisel. This book follows a murder at a vicarage, as it says. It is following the Reverend is our main character whose perspective we're seeing from. He is going to have a meeting with this guy who is a local judge. It's set in a very small little village. And when he goes to meet him, he has been killed in his home. So then it's the murder of whodunit. Essentially, it's just a whodunit, basically. Much like most of the Poirot ones that I've read so far, you are not in Miss Marple's kind of headspace, and she's actually quite a minor character. She really isn't in this book a lot at all, and I think that's interesting in that I'm curious if this was like just gonna necessarily be a standalone novel, and then Agatha Christie decided that she quite liked this character and then made it a bit of a series. But regardless, I did quite like her as a character. She felt very realistic of a character, of someone that I feel like I could know in my everyday life as a bit of like a older woman who lives on her own, but like it's a bit of a busybody, knows a lot of what's going on around the village, you know, has her fingers in different pies, you know, she knows what's going on. If you want to know dirt, you would go to her. I feel like that's a very realistic character that exists even today in England, very much so, especially in like smaller villages. And I enjoyed our main character, the Reverend, and the person that we were seeing the perspective from as we were going throughout this series. It was just quite a short, like little cozy read. There was only the one murder, and so it kind of gets resolved in a really interesting way. I did not guess it. I don't think I've ever guessed an Agatha Christie yet. I still am trying all the time, but yeah, still have not guessed one. And yeah, I just thought it was a nice easy read. Really nice introduction to Miss Marple as a character. And I like that you never see from her perspective again, because otherwise you would kind of be figuring it out with her, whereas instead you kind of just see at the end where she ends up coming in with the police and helping them put the pieces together. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the conclusion of this book. So I gave this one a 4-star actually, which is kind of, most of the Agatha Christie's I've read have been between a 3 and a 4-star. And yeah, I've enjoyed them to different varying degrees, but yeah, I did quite enjoy this one. And then my favorite read of the month is actually book 3 in the Skandar series, Skandar and the Chaos Trials. I really enjoyed this. I won't go too much into the plot of this specific book, as it is the 3rd in a series. Our characters in this book are really growing up. In this book, they are going through certain trials that are like to help them move on in their unicorn training academy school, and the stakes definitely are getting higher as the book goes on, especially how this book has ended off. Our main character is now in quite a precarious situation. He is losing allies kind of off the board, and it's feeling quite isolating for him. And so yeah, I really enjoyed this book though. This book does, I think, a really good job as well of having wonderful representation, especially as it is a middle grade book, and I really like to see that. And I think at the end as well, A.F. Stedman talks a bit in the acknowledgements how she wanted to create a kind of an escapism book that could reflect all kinds of readers, and I do think you really see that in these books. I think the diversity in the books are wonderful, and it's just something that is really nice to see, especially in middle grade books. I'm finding that with more and more middle grades that I read, how they have such wonderful diversity, and Skandar series is no different. I will say this does develop a bit more with our main character's sibling in this book, which I did not necessarily love as much, but that's just kind of the way that the story went and the way that it's going to go going forward. So like, I kind of expected some of the things to happen in here that did, and it went different ways than I thought it was going to go. Definitely certain events definitely happened that was not expecting. But yeah, overall, I just had a really good time with this book. The 5th and final book comes out in September, I believe. So I'm hoping to read the 4th one in August, so I'm up to date on this. But yeah, if you went into middle grade and haven't checked out the Skandar series, I do really recommend it. I really enjoy it. It's just a very fun time. It's not the most unique thing that you will ever see. It's, you know, training academies, unicorn riding, elemental magic. But I think it's like a fun and interesting take, and I really enjoy it. And think, yeah, great representation. I really enjoy our main 4 squad of characters. Some of the adults as well in this book I find really enjoyable. There is also the element, I think, which is a bit of a trope, I guess, in middle grade books or YA books where you don't tell adults about stuff. That kind of changes a bit in this. They do reach out to adults a lot of the time, but sometimes it's like adults not quite believing them or adults not in a position to actually help them in ways. And so I do like that because it's always very frustrating when you're reading these younger books and they are not speaking to the adults about stuff. Obviously, it helps move the plot along, but it's very frustrating. But yeah, this is my favorite book of the month and I really enjoyed it and really, really recommend the series. So very briefly to go through all of the other books that I read throughout the month and just tell you my star rating for them. Audiobook-wise, I listened to The Bad Beginning by Lemony Snicket, which was a reread, and I gave this 3-star. And then I listened to Black Coffee, which is a novelization of an Agatha Christie play, which is it's like 7.5 in the Poirot series, and I gave this one a 3-star as well. For the other physical books I read Moonstone by Laura Purcell. This was a 3.5. The Inmate by Frida McFadden was a 3-star. Fairest of Them All by Serena Valentino was a 3-star. Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross was a 4-star. Those are all the books that I read, and then all of the manga I got across the board were 4 stars. I'm quite a generous rater when it comes to manga, but I'll show you what they are, but they all got 4 stars. So the rereads, I reread the first 3 volumes in the Fushigi Yugi Genbu Kaiden series, as well as the first 4 volumes in the Bleach series. So those are all my reread manga-wise. And then I read volume 15 of Monthly Girls Nozuki-kun, which is the newest, the latest release of this. This is the only manga series that I'm up to date on the releases of. And yeah, I really liked it. And then Go For It Nakamura. This is actually volume 1, which I didn't know when I got it. It has a sequel that I think is Go For It Still Nakamura, which I'm not sure if it ever got an English release physically. I know it has digitally, so I might have to buy it digitally. But yeah, I read that as well. So those were 2 at least new manga reads for the month. And then I did have a DNF for the month, which I do want to include in here because one, I'm really trying to DNF more. And I always feel weirdly guilty about DNFing books, but I'm going to include it regardless because I have DNF'd it. And that was We All Begin as Strangers. This is by Harriet Cummings. And this has a really interesting premise based on real life events of a little small village in England in the 80s where someone is breaking into houses but not stealing anything and not doing any damage, just moving things around or maybe taking things of not value, and then someone goes missing. And so a very interesting concept, but it was just quite boring. I got halfway through the book and it's told in parts, and the first part and the second part are told from different people's perspectives from this small village, and it's more about their life in the village, what they've done before, how they've gotten there, and how they are related to this person that's gone missing. And it's not really as much about this kind of mystery as I wanted it to be, and so it was very, very slow. I stopped at the end of part 2 where we're just about to go into the new part with someone completely different, and I just wasn't that interested in carrying on with it. So yeah, it's a pretty short book, but I just decided to bite the bullet and DNF it because I was not enjoying it that much. And this was one that I was physically reading as well, and so I knew that I could physically read something else. And then actually I have another DNF that I DNF'd this though. I soft DNF'd it a couple of months back. I saw it the other day and have decided to officially DNF it and unhaul it. And so that is The Secret Scripture by Sebastian Barry. This is the story of a psychotherapist or a doctor that works in a psychiatrist in Ireland in the early 1900s, I think. And again, it's just very, very slow. I really didn't make it very far in this book, but it was just very slow, not very gripping, and just not very interesting. I only made it 45 pages in. And so I did decide to put it down. And since putting it down, I haven't thought about it once, haven't had the desire to go back to it. So yeah, I'm going to cut it off there and DNF it and unhaul it. So those 2 books are the first books that I'm going to be unhauling for the month. And then I do have another stack, which I'll share with you as well. So I am going to unhaul Fairest of Them All, as well as Poor Unfortunate Souls. These are books 1 and 3 in this series, and I do own book 2. I do intend to read book 2, but I probably am just not going to keep it. I'm probably just going to read the series either ebooks or occasionally, or I'll just read the first 3. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I will read the other one that I have, but I am going to unhaul them as then ones I'm not going to reread, and they are fine. I did actually quite enjoy Fairest of Them All, which is a kind of Evil Queen retelling, but not enough to ever reread it. And I'm not bothered about having it in my collection. So these 2 books are going to be unhauled. I think all of the other books that I'm unhauling are actually ones that I have sequel, doubles of. I bought special editions or different editions, so I'm just going to get rid of them. So I have Scythe and the Toll. I have the special edition set there, so I don't need to keep these anymore. As well as Ghost of the Shadow Market. I bought the paperback of this, so I'm just going to get rid of this one. And then lastly, I'm going to be getting rid of my original editions of the Inheritance Cycle. I have bought special editions from the Broken Binding, so I do not need doubles of them. The only reason I really have doubles of certain books, if they are special editions, different editions, I have the first book of the Aragon in the illustrated edition, so things like that, but I don't need the basic edition and the special edition as well. So yeah, most of the books I'm unhauling are just ones I have double copies of, but I think it's good to have. And I think my friend who works at a secondary school is doing some kind of book sale at the school or something, so I'm going to donate a load of all of these YA ones to her so she can sell there at the book sale or whatever she wants to do with them. But yeah, so that's my little unhaul as well for the month. So yeah, not a bad month. I actually really enjoyed what I read in June. I didn't read as many audiobooks as I usually do, but I was off work for 2 weeks, and the majority of what I read audiobook-wise is while I'm at work. I work night shift stock, doing stock take at a supermarket, so easy to, and I've already listened to 2 audiobooks this month. So easy listening to. I don't think I had a least favourite book of the month. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I didn't really have a least favourite book of this month. Like I said, most books were 3 stars, so which is usually a fine rating, but I did really enjoy my month. I did participate in the Amazing Readathon, which is why some of these books I ended up subbing out. I used a lot of my manga for some of the prompts there, just so I stayed up to date on the prompts throughout the month. I had a really fun time with that as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know any of your favourite reads throughout June, any books you recommend. I'd love to put them on my TBR. I really appreciate you guys as well always, and I'll see you again hopefully soon. Bye.